Hey everybody, it's tequila time, and we're going to go over the trip to Tequila, Mexico, and our visit to the Fortaleza Distillery. We're going to do kind of a synopsis, a little overview of what we did. Had lots of problems with my little camera, overheating constantly, so I have a mix of video and some stills, and the audio is all out of whack, and so decided I was just going to do a voiceover. So before we get started, we have to do the one thing we always do. We've got to drink some tequila. So let's pour a little repo, and we'll talk about it real quick, and then we'll get into the video. And my favorite, of course, one of my favorites, for sure. Number one favorite. I can then have a number two favorite, number three. Everything over there is my favorite. So, that is so good. So good. So let's get into the video. So, beginning of the video, of course, is myself and my sister Valerie and her husband Brad. We all three went to Tequila. So our first morning there, we went down and had breakfast downtown in the center square, and then we went to see all the sights around the city square. We went and had a cantarito after breakfast. It was already 10 o'clock, and so we went and did that, and then we went to where the tequila letters are at behind the cathedral, and we saw some monuments just to the founders of tequila. I got my picture taken with man and his mule hauling tequila right outside of the Fortaleza Museum, and which was Don Cenobio's house originally. That's Guillermo's great great grandfather. And then we went to Tequila. We went to Fortaleza, and so we walked around town for a while, and then we went back and we had a tour scheduled at Fortaleza, and we went through the first big black gate that you see, and we went into where the gift shop's at and the administration offices, and we went in there, and it's a beautiful little place. I mean, they've got a nice little courtyard that's covered and places to sit, and we had a really good time. We just kind of cooling off there out of the sun, and I took a little pictures of the courtyard, and it's where they store their vehicles, and there's some older buildings there, and this is the property adjacent to the actual distillery. And here you're looking at the outside of the gift shop, and some of these folks are going to be on our tour with us. So we're all meeting here in the little meeting place, kind of, like I said, out of the sun, so it's a little cooler. And we're getting ready to go over and go to our tour. And we've all got together now, and we're headed back through the gate, and we're going to go across the street to the distillery, and just have a good time with that. Across the street, there's a sign for Orandine's. That is actually a scale for. This is the entrance gate to the villa. This is the property that Guillermo's grandfather bought in the 50s that has a distillery on it. And when we walk through these gates, this gives you a little sense of the size of the place of Guillermo's home and his business. You see off in the distance, that's the volcano. And here's some of the old equipment that was left behind. I believe this is some type of old horno. But all of these over here, these are all unplanted fields. This is where they're going to plant their employee garden. And these are some more of the offices. And then we're going to walk down this walkway. We're going to head towards the lake and get a look at all those agave fields up above the wall. That's all planted agave heading up to Guillermo's house, which you'll see. You can see it up here in the corner. But we're going to walk down this main walkway for a little bit and look at all the palm trees and all the other flowering trees, and there's fruit trees all up along the other walkways. It's just a really beautiful, peaceful place. And this is where they grow their agaves that they use for special bottling. Some of these have already been harvested, and they're letting the soil rest before they replant. But we're going to head down here, and you can see their own little Golden Gate Bridge when I get turned back around. So you'll see the bridge that goes out to the lake. And more, that wall extends all the way out there. But we're still walking. There's the bridge there on the left a little bit. There it is. And that takes you out to the island in the middle of the lake. And we walk through and get to the shadow, but we're noticing that we hear something coming down the road. And it's the animal tenders are bringing the sheep back from one of the fields and taking them back to their pens. So we have to get up out of the way. So they have us come all the way up, get out of the way. There's the lake and the island. And we see down here at the end of the road, we hear them coming. And our guide, Hilda, she's saying, oh, they're coming. We'll just stand up here for a minute and they'll go on past. And there's Hilda there. She's giving us lots of good information, telling us about the lake and about the volcano and where the water comes from for the lake. Well, it comes from the volcano. It's spring water from the volcano, and they only use it in the lake and then for irrigation of the fruit trees and then, of course, of their garden. And we'll talk about this for a little bit, and soon the sheep will come. This is our group. We had a really great group. They were from all over the U.S., and we had a really good time. We asked a few questions about the trees and the different fruit trees that were there, and then we just continued on our way. So we continued on this pathway, which you can see the planted agave up on the fields. The runoff from the stream comes into the lake. So we walk down the pathway. So we go down to the corner. We'll turn, and here's where there's steps that goes up towards Guillermo's house. And then over here on the left, you'll see all the animal pens. Of course, they have chickens and ducks and geese, not to mention the sheep, and then they have donkeys and horses as well back in here in the animal pens. And Guillermo hires somebody to take care of all these animals. Plus, he also has the dog rescue, which is over on the other side, that he lets them out, and they go for walks out through the agave fields every evening, and the dogs all go back to their pens. But we're going to walk down this way all the way to the end, and we'll get close to the distillery. And we ask questions along the way about the seeds on the trees and the different fruit, again, the fruit trees and what garden and what they're going to plant in the gardens. We go through all of that. So we're going to head this way, and we're going to one of the areas where they store barrels and they store the tequila in the stainless steel vats, which you'll see the stainless steel vats over here, these great big stainless steel containers. That's just where they store it till they decide what they're going to do with it. And this is one of the small barrel rooms. And we'll walk into here, and there is the empty barrels of the Winter Blend 2024. And all of these, if they have tags on them, they have tequila in them. So all of these barrels actually have tequila that's resting to either be añejo or a reposado. And that goes all the way back into there. But this is just the smallest. Then here's pictures of Guillermo's family. So, so it's very special place for him. Pictures of his father, his mother, and probably grandmother and grandfather. So we're here, and we talk about what's in this room, what was in this room, and that they have more barrel storage back over on the other side of the street where we started out at the gift shop. So, but this is where everything starts out. We talk about the different types of tequila that they produce, and we're there for a little while, and then we move on down. So we head out of the little barrel storage. We're going to walk down this walkway. This is the oldest tree on the property, so it's well maintained and taken care of. We're going to walk down this way. This takes us back over, and here's the front of the distillery. And it has the original copper pot stills. They're sitting out front, an old Tohono wheel, and again another stairway that heads up towards one of there's an agave field there, and they have a little chemistry place right over here that they use. And we're going to head down this alleyway. This takes us back to where a couple things are at. The distillery's here. This entire building is the distillery. It's back here in the back where they deliver the harvested agaves. Are back here in this alleyway, and this is also where the cave is at, where we'll eventually go and do our tasting. But this is where they have the harvested agaves, and this door back here puts them right into where the brick ovens are at. We went through the front door, and you come through the little offices in the front, and then you see, of course, that this is what was to be the original label, and it's what you do see on the Mexican version of Fortaleza. It's Los Abuelos. So here's the fermentation vats, and we get to taste some cooked agave off the tray. This is where that agave juice goes to after it's crushed. It goes in here to ferment, doing a natural fermentation in this open air as much as you can.
The water
more pictures of the Salza family. And here's the Tahona pit, which they have stopped. They're pulling it out of the bottom and letting it drain down into this pit, and then they'll let it go down into a tank right back here, where this area, I'm panning to this area. It'll go underneath the floor and go down into this pit right down here, which then it'll, once that's full, then they'll start pumping these into the empty tanks and start the fermentation process. So Hilda's telling us about how they do, how long they cook, and and how many times they go with the Tahona wheel, and then where it goes from there and goes into the fermentation tanks, and then we go back closer to the stills. So the stills are back here in the far back corner behind, and she's pointing in that direction. There's some storage tanks over here, the stainless steel storage tanks, explaining where everything goes, and pointing to the pones that are made out of wood, wooden fermentation tanks. And again, this guy explaining how these are done. And
in my mind,
here's our group just waiting on what's next, and she's going to hand out some shot glasses. Everybody gets to take one. And she has a sample in her hand in this graduated cylinder that's full of still strength tequila straight from the still. And this will be your one and only chance of drinking it warm straight from the still. I just happened to be the last person to get a cup and the first person to get some tequila. Well, and I walk over and see where all that is just dripping out of all that bagasso down into the tank. And there's your 3 copper pot stills. The outer 2 do the first distillation, the center does the last, and that center tank is that finished product ready to be bottled as still strength or put in a barrel to age for reposado or añejo. But we all get a little sample, and we all get to do a little salute, and we get to try our first taste of Fortaleza tequila. And it is so good, and it's so warm that it goes down it goes down really smooth, which is one of the reasons I like to sip my tequila, either a little warm or at room temperature. And I'll take some out in a flask on the boat, and I don't care if it's in the sun. It kind of goes down a little smoother when it's warm. And you get all of that flavor. Susie's explaining that after all this process, that it goes to a tank to be, to wait, to ready to be bottled or to be put into barrels. And we're going to then move on from here. There's a lot of questions and answers going on, and Hilda's answering all those questions ever so wonderfully. She did point to me occasionally because I had warned her. I've been on this tour so many times online. I felt like I've been there, but until you get to actually see the scale of actually how small, and video it makes it look bigger. It is not that big. I would say it's probably 40 feet wide by 70 feet long. That's all the bigger the distillery is. It's one of the smallest distilleries that I know of. There. Some more pictures of the family. But here's pictures of what the agave looks like inside the ovens. And we're headed into the cave where we're going to do our tequila tasting down here in the cave bar. And this originally, we believe it was dug to hold, to be a barrel storage. But during the rainy season, it floods. And so they find better use for the barrels somewhere else than down here in the cave. So, it goes farther back, but they've stopped it right here. We have a nice bar with illuminated bottles and a great place to sit and enjoy the atmosphere that Guillermo and his employees have created to enjoy this tequila down here in the dark, where it's nice and cool. And they've got tables for the overflow, and it's a really, really nice place. We enjoyed ourselves. We got to taste all 3 types of tequila, 4 types, the 2 Blancos, the regular and still strength. Camera started overheating again. Here's the bar stools that have the logo on them, and the last call. And then we head out to Blondie's taco stand after our tasting, and we had some tacos, and then we walk back and we head back to back this direction, and we're going to head wherever we're heading. I lost count of where we're at. This looks like we're heading over to the bottling section, where they actually bring the new bottles in, and all these pallets out here that are new boxes and new unused bottles. These are the new bottles and the boxes to go in them, and so all these bottles get washed and acid etched in this room. They've got a little bigger facility than what I've seen in some of this used to be over in another building, but this is where they do it now, and they can do more bottles so they have more room to do the acid etching on the bottle. If you ever take the label off a bottle of Fortaleza, you will find the Los Abuelos label acid etched onto the bottle, and that's what she's showing us now. That's where that goes. They put a little film over it, and then they put an acid wash over that part, and that gives it a stencil for the acid label. And they get to show us the 2 different bottles. One of the bottles is the Mexican bottle, the hand blown, and the other one's the semi hand blown machine bottle that goes to the U.S. It handles the shipping better. So then we climb some stairs, and we come up to where they make the toppers and the cork, and where they make the thing and then glue the corks on. This is the workroom for that, and all those little white dots you see are brand new corks, new stoppers for the bottles that have real corks attached to them. But this is what they look like when they're sitting there and they're waiting to have their finish coat put on. This is one of the main roads, pathways inside the distillery area at the villa. This is the gate, just right. This is out on the street, and down to the left is the main gate where we walked in. This is Guillermo's property behind this wall here. But this is the gate that takes you in, right? This is the roof of the distillery. This is where the trucks come in directly into here and to unload the product. And then another part of this is the lookout tower. We didn't walk up there. After all the walking we had done so far, we were exhausted and it was hot. And this is Guillermo's house up on top of the hill. But we got some fish tacos, and then we walked down to the lake, and I went on for these planted agaves here along the pathway. But I'm going to take a little walk out on the bridge and go out to the island and give you a good panoramic view of the villa and the beautiful and the peace. It's just such a peaceful getaway from the hustle and bustle of town, because there's trucks all the time. There's tour buses all the time running around through the streets and going by the main gates and going to all the different distilleries. But we head out here to kind of give you another vantage point of Villa Salsa and where our Fortaleza is at. I'm going to walk out here. And look back around. And Guillermo's house sits up here on top of the hill. Lookout tower's back over here. It's a little hard to see with the sun glaring down, but it is back here. And you get a little how you. That's a very steep hill going up to Guillermo's house. There is a road, I believe, that goes back around and comes back up the backside. But I'm out on the island, and I'm looking back, and the fish taco stand is over there in the corner where almost everybody else is at. And I just wanted to come out and kind of walk around the island a little bit and kind of give you some views of what you can see. It's such a beautiful place. I didn't want to leave. They have weddings out here and parties, and I know that I've seen many times when they have guests, large groups, they come out here and they sit and they discuss the different, aspects of tequila and about Fortaleza and about the industry. And I know I've seen interviews with Guillermo and Grover from Tequila Matchmaker, and they've come out here to film because it's quieter. It's away from the distillery. It's away from the hustle and bustle. But it's just a beautiful, beautiful place. And was very glad to be here. And it's just so overwhelming at how big it actually is compared to what you see in the videos. The nice shade trees, and it is just a really cool place. So hey everybody, it's always tequila time, and it's tequila time in Tequila. Welcome to La Fortaleza. We're out on the island looking at the property. Had a great tour, a great tasting. Our guide, she was wonderful. She let me talk when I could. I shouldn't have, but she appreciated my insights. And it's going to be something I will treasure for a long time. So if you ever get the chance to come to Tequila, you cannot miss coming to Fortaleza. It's not like nothing else. So if you know Fortaleza, it's small batch. It's all done by hand. You'll never see anybody make a spirit this way ever. So we finished our tour there at the gift shop, and they kind of just let us roam for a little while, and until they kind of headed us back across the street, and we had a great time and really enjoyed ourselves. The next day, we did another tour of another distillery. That video is coming up. It's going to be just as bad as this one. So, I've got a lot of editing to do that we will get to, and I'll make this as smooth as possible. So I hope you enjoyed this little quick video of Fortaleza. No, it's not professionally done. You want to see that? Go watch Doug's channel on the Agave Social Club. He's got he's got the way to do it. And I was just so excited to be there. How this turned out, yeah, it's a little disappointing, but you know what? It brings back memories that I will want to do again. So again, if you want to make a trip to Mexico and you want to go down to Tequila and you want to go visit where your tequila is made, this is one of those places you need to stop. So back to our reposado, salute, enjoy, and remember, it's always tequila time. We'll see you soon. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Ah.